Your Key People webinar. We will explore how providing an engaging tool to facilitate a performance conversation, including clear goal setting, can help nurture your key people. Today's webinar is brought to you by ROC and SuccessFactors, an SAP company. Today's presenters are myself, Kara Doherty. I'm an account executive with ROC, focused solely on our human capital management practice and cover both the UK and Ireland geographies. Stephen Burr is the talent management practice lead with ROC. Stephen has been with our organization since 1998. Jamie Drake is an inside sales executive with SuccessFactors, SAP's Cloud for People practice. Both Stephen and Jamie bring extensive HCM experience and knowledge to us today. A brief overview of ROC. ROC was founded in 1998 in the UK and now has offices globally. ROC's focus as an HCM specialist consultancy is just that. We provide our global experience locally across a range of services, solutions, products, and support for line of business and human resource executives. ROC is not only a SuccessFactors customer, but also a certified partner and have been since 1998, working closely with the HCM team at SAP, helping to define some best practices in this area. We are very pleased to be the winners of SAP's Pinnacle Award for 2014 for New Cloud Value Added Reseller of the Year. SuccessFactors is a best-of-breed HCM solution provider consistently scoring higher than its competition, according to all major analysts. They have been delivering cloud-based HR solutions for over 10 years and are backed by SAP's 27 years experience in HR systems. SuccessFactors' suite of solutions covers the entire employee lifecycle from recruit to retire and is modular, which means it offers the flexibility to start wherever you want or need to and expand at your own pace. Being an SAP company, it also means that organizations can extend their existing investments in any on-prem systems or move entirely to the cloud. SuccessFactors' suite of solutions offers continuous innovation and faster time to benefit. What really sets our partnership apart is the ability to tie HR strategies to business strategies, driving real, measurable results, giving organizations actionable insights that go beyond informing to advising, so that you can run your business in a better and more profitable way. With that, we would like to now share with you some of the common challenges we've been hearing from our experiences within the higher education community, as well as some suggestions on how to address them. So I'll pass the presentation over to my colleague, Stephen Burr.
Thanks, Cara, and good morning, everyone. So this is actually my public profile on our ROC's own internal SuccessFactors system, where we perform performance and goals. We'll see more of the system in a few minutes in Jamie's demo, but first I want to talk about higher education and the role of performance management. So there are currently around 165 higher education establishments in the UK, serving about 2.3 million students. So this is certainly a large and important industry in the UK. In the last decade, we've seen student numbers grow by around about 500,000. Not only is this from initial degree students, where it's risen about 34%, but also from students staying on to study for longer as postgraduate study. Again, a significant rise at 32%. We have world-leading research and attract international students from around the world. This in itself is an £8 billion a year industry, which is expected to double by 2025. Finally, there's been a rise in students involved in flexible part-time learning as they try to balance working life with education. Now, these students are now spending more of their own money as government funding has halved since its peak of 2009-10. This shift from government to graduate contributions is expected to continue. Going into higher education is expensive, and students are seeking the greatest value for their money. They want to know they're going to an establishment with the best possible reputation in order to get the best possible return on their investment, which is in themselves. They're willing to travel further to get it, and they also seek out feedback on the reality of attending a university or higher education establishment, both formally, whether it's this kind of Russell Group league tables, for example, or informally through social media. So tuition income has doubled in the first decade of this millennium and is now the largest source at 40% of all higher education income. So there's lots more students, and it's more important you attract them. More students means more staff, up over 10% since 2004, and now totals 382,000 in the 2012-13 academic year. And actually, academic staff are rising even faster, at 15.5% over the same period. Staff are both valuable and influential, but also costly. Last year, staff accounted for 55% of all higher education costs, and 1 in 6 academic staff earn more than £56,000 per annum. This makes them costly not only to employ, but also to replace if they leave. Staff also play a key role in securing another valuable source of income: research grants and contracts. So there's an added importance to attracting and retaining talented individuals. To attract them, you need to be offering them a progression from their current post, either in their job role or because of the status of your university or higher education establishment, because of its status on the world stage. It's certainly global competition for talent more than ever out there. For example, I know of a current head of school who's considering a move to England, but also dreaming of finding an opportunity in Asia or maybe even Australia. And once you employ them, nurturing these key people becomes paramount. Not only do you want to develop them to increase your own organisation's capability, but you want them to feel valued and know they have a future with you. So what do we know about staff in higher education? Well, we know they're commonly time poor, I think like a lot of us these days, but they're also technology users. Even those scared of programming a VHS recorder 20 years ago can use a tablet today. Technology is integrated into everyday life for today's workforce, but there is a disparity between what they use at home in their personal lives and what they come to work and use. Our experience of consumer technology is certainly putting pressure on organisations to provide intuitive, adoptable, often mobile technology within the workplace. Today's user just doesn't want to Today's user just wants to sit down and learn how to use technology, doesn't want to sit down and learn how to use technology in order to make use of it. These newer additions to the workforce, millennials is a phrase you might have heard, which refers to people born after 1980, are generally more geographically mobile. They're willing to move more often to get the career they want, particularly in the early part of their career. I think this is as true in higher education as other industries, as my previous story about the head of school illustrates. But it isn't just the new digital natives in the workforce. People are retiring later, so you have a wider demographic. You need technology to be accessible across an increasingly diverse group of people. Now, a recent global HCM trend survey of over 2,500 HR and business leaders provides some great insight into the perceived urgency of HR challenges ahead. On this, though, I have to agree with ROC's chairman and ex-SAP board member Les Heyman here. There's no such thing as HR problems, only business problems that HR can help solve. Top of this list was building global leadership. It's about identifying and developing future leaders, not just the top tier of management, but across all functional areas and at every level. 86% of respondents saw this as important or urgent. Second on the list you can see is engagement, or retention and engagement. It's about creating a passionate, safe, desirable work environment where your staff feel valued and feel there's opportunity. The list continues, as you can see, with other urgent challenges such as workforce capability, talent management, learning and development, and performance management. The report also looked at the respondents' perceived readiness. Performance management is interesting in this respect as it's the most common starting point for other talent management activities, as it encourages engagement, discusses development and learning, and to build the capability in future leaders. On performance management, 68% classed it as important or urgent, but interestingly 85% classed themselves as not ready or only somewhat ready to take on this challenge. These two numbers highlight a capability gap between what is considered important or urgent to the capability of the organisation to respond to that need. What the survey also showed is that the best of breed HR functions are more focused, it said 7% on average, on certain business and talent priorities. And the statistic that stood out for me from this report was one around the organisation's perceived readiness. Business leaders rated their organisation's readiness to deal with the top 5 trends as 13% lower than HR did. This should be a concern for HR, as business leaders have less belief in their organisation's readiness than HR believe they have. So on to some quotes on this screen. These top challenges that we've just discussed were also echoed in recent talent management focused reports. These really highlight that attracting, retaining and developing staff is a key concern when thinking about how to sustain an organisation. The PwC report referenced here also stated that only 34% of CEOs felt that HR were well prepared to capitalise on transformative global trends. That's compared to 56% for finance. That's 34% for HR, 56% for finance. So we know that the workforce is critical to successful business execution. You know your talent is your greatest asset, to use perhaps an overused phrase. What exactly is the role of HR in business execution? Well, organisations are still struggling with these challenges, as this slide shows. HR is the only group with the perspective and ability to affect the entire workforce. And remember, that's the workforce that represents 55% of your organisation's total operating costs. That's big money spent on your workforce. So really, leaders are realising that they can't possibly optimise the performance of their organisation without optimising the performance of their workforce. Now, a 2011 survey showed that 65% of organisations are without a performance management system. Even when a system is in use, it isn't given a great rating by HR executives. A professor commented to me that he felt a lot of staff thought, you know, we have to do it, but what are the outcomes? But worse than that, a recent CIPD study also showed that in the public sector, 1/3 of all employees believe their performance management system to be unfair, and that 1 in 5 felt their managers were only somewhat or very ineffective at communicating objectives and expectations. The end result of that, as you can see on the right, only about 1/3 of companies believe they do performance management well. So what is the impact of doing it badly? Well, unsurprisingly, it has an impact on lower income, higher turnover of staff, and an impact on the value of that organisation. So let's look at it in a more positive way and see what steps you can take to become a best-of-breed HR function in performance management. So when implementing a performance management process, here are some things to work towards on this next slide. First of all, enable your senior leaders to engage and then communicate strategy. How is this done now, and can you align strategic goals through your organisation? Use performance conversations to improve and develop your workforce through continuous coaching. Help managers be able to do that and coach more effectively. One academic told me that in the current paper-based process he was using, he got some initial training from HR but very little support after that. One way to offer this support and generally help the overall process compliance to make the system simple and usable. Finally, aim for an output that HR can use to demonstrate its value to the organisation to increase that perceived value that HR brings. Again, an academic commented to me, I have no idea what happens to all the paperwork and who sees it within the university. HR needs other parts of the organisation to get measurable value from this process. So summarise those kind of key words on this slide, and at this point I'm going to hand over to Jamie from SuccessFactors to show us SAP's Cloud Performance and Goal Management solution. Now, just a reminder, I'll be back at the end with Jamie for some questions and answers, and if you have any questions, please do type in the chat box on the right hand side. So with that, I'll hand over to you, Jamie, and your challenge is on the screen.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and thank you, Kara, for the introduction. Yeah, and again, we're just going to take a brief look at the solution today, but just to hit on some key points, we're going to talk about how you can communicate the strategy, how you look at what skills you have in building them, continuous coaching. It's about communication, coaching everyone, making sure that they're being coached, and making it simple, and then demonstrating the value. So that is my objective for the day, and hopefully we will be able to show you that. And I'm just going to log in here and show you a basic view of a manager within an organization and all the things that are available within the solution to facilitate strategy communication, skills communication, and how it all feeds into a mechanism that provides real-time data reporting
to get a very good look at what's going on across your organization. So as you can see here, I've logged in as Carla Grant. And Carla Grant is a person within the organization who has direct reports. And so she has different things that she needs to attend to. Everything she needs to do is right here on her home page. She can see her to-do list. She can look at her team. And right from here, drill down and see what things need to be accomplished here for Marcus, what's behind, what needs to happen, and take action. So it's a very simple, user-friendly system to use and gives you all the information that you need with just a click or two. And all of these tiles can be moved around and customized so that everybody can see their homepage in the way that makes the most sense for them and how they work. And that's what this is about. It's about being able to work better, communicate better, and coach better. I can actually even see my goals straight away. So just a bit of housekeeping on the system. We do provide you with an organizational chart, and this organizational chart can accommodate both direct and indirect. Hopefully you can see this indirect reporting line to Thomas Clark. But it gives you a way to navigate around the organization and get to the people you need to get to and do the things you need to do and take some action. I could actually save this entire team as a PDF, or I can search in a directory. I can also access information based on permissions. I can see Carla Grant myself, basic information. Because I am Carla Grant, I have a lot of permissions to go into different areas. Typically what people will see when they search on the directory is the public profile. And this is just a way for you to be able to find the people that you need to connect with, find the people that you need information from, where they're at, even what time it is. And even that person has the ability to really kind of configure and show themselves in that profile. Add some information about themselves, add some pictures, some photos. So it's really an interactive system for the individual and for those that they're dealing with, because you don't always get to see people face to face, so it's nice to know what they're interested in. So as you can see, we do the broad spectrum, but from here we're going to focus on goals and performance and then the output from those today. So if I look at Carla's goal plan, what we're looking at here is this is Carla and this is her team and this is her goal plan. So I can see Carla, direct report. Again, this goes back to any direct or indirect, reporting lines you might have. And then you have a ton of options of what you want to actually display on a goal. So we'll take one for an example, and I'll just scroll down here. Secure 1 million grant money for research on behavioral therapy outcomes. And I can see where I've aligned this down and what actions I have assigned to my team. So you can also see percentage done, you can see targets, you can see whatever data is important to you as an organization. And the system is flexible enough that you can customize or configure that to what makes sense for you. Housekeeping note in the instance of creating a new goal, it's very simple. You just click a button. We provide you with a library straight out of the gate. You can edit that library as an administrator, but it will give you suggested goals, suggested metrics, and then you can edit all of that information. So you have a really good way to go in and very quickly communicate what the strategy is, share that strategy, and let everybody know what's going on and what needs to happen. And that's important in engagement. So if we take the goal that we looked at earlier, if I want to share this further with my team, I just select it and I click Cascade. And in that way, I can select the people that need to be involved, and I can tell them what needs to happen for this to be realized. We'll look later at a more helicopter view of how we look at making sure that everything is on track. But that from a basic perspective, this is how you connect the dots for your team. So then you just enter any of your details that you need to enter. You can have quarterly performances, deliverables, whatever makes sense to you. And then you would just save it. And that's what populates your goal plan and communicates to the entire team. And from here, I can manage all of that in one simple page. Going beyond that, we've built what we call the goal execution map. And this is important because it goes to, one, again, pure communication, but connecting the dots and getting really good communication. So we'll just take this one particular goal in particular. And not only can I see where I have cascaded this down to my team and where these things are, but I can also go further down the line and see what's going on across the organization. So for example, I can see Marcus here. He has a high probability of success. We're in the green. But if you look further down the chain, there are potential problems. I can look at those comments if I want to and see what the issue is, or I can simply just go in and ask Marcus for a status update. I see a problem. What's the issue? So in that way, it makes it much easier to identify problems before you miss a deadline, before the goal is not realized, and really be able to manage your business in a much, much better way. You can also add these to a meeting agenda, and everything is going to show up in your meeting agenda. You can filter this, make your edits, and straight away from here, you can schedule a meeting. This links in with your email. So here I've got a calendar appointment. Apologies on that. Operator error. But you can schedule an appointment which is automatically going to create this agenda for you and send it off to whoever needs to be in that meeting. And what that does is you can see who the goal owners are, you can see everybody there, and you can communicate with them, hey, listen, we need to have a meeting, and here's what we need to talk about. It's just a very powerful way of being able to manage that strategy, communicate goals, and that's important not just for executive management, but it's also important for everyday employees who really need to understand how they're engaged with the organization as a whole. So that's an overview of goals, and from there we're going to feed that into performance. And this is where the coaching comes in, which both Stephen and Kara were speaking of being able to give that continuous coaching, being able to give consistent and reliable feedback to their employees. Right now I'm looking at a team view, and I can see where everything is in the process. And by the way, the process is your process. It's designed by your business. It's completely configurable. But I can see where everything is at. So once again, I think we'll pick on Marcus, and we'll just take a look at his evaluation form. First thing you need to see is that there is actually, it's a running dashboard. So this tells me what the overall score is for Marcus. I haven't moved this to the next step yet, but I can see I've completed it. But I can also look, while I'm in this process of evaluating my team members and evaluating Marcus, where he stands within my team, where his strengths are, where other people's strengths are, and how he rates. If I've given any supporting information, if I've kept some notes, and that goes back to the home page where I looked at Marcus's outstanding issues, I could keep some notes there just for future reference. And then I can also look at things like, where have I rated Marcus higher than he rated himself? And that's on goals and performance, because it all pulls through. And where have I rated Marcus lower than he's rated himself? So you can scroll down through the form, but just as an example, we'll just pop right into integrity and ethics. So here I've rated Marcus lower than he's rated himself. And all of the rating scales are completely configurable. I can actually see Marcus's comments. And then I can put in my own. Now, one of the things we've actually done is, as a best practice, is we've built in a library of competencies, actually several libraries, and we built in writing assistance and coaching assistance so that it helps managers and individuals think behaviorally about their competencies, what they're doing, how they can improve, what they think is going on. So it really helps give clear, consistent feedback across the board. So you can place information and you can give advice as well. And then, of course, you can edit all of this information as you see fit. But it's just getting over that writer's block and saying, okay, what is it I'm trying to say? How do I want to describe this behavior? Coaching that person on how they can improve or what they're really, really great at and they may not know. So that's the overview there. So we're looking at all the inputs right now. So what I'd like to do is back up a bit and look at what this all feeds into and how this builds the ability for your organization to have an idea of how people are communicating, making sure that they're communicating, and giving people the tools to do so. And we're going to look at that through dashboards. So right now we're looking at a performance and competency dashboard. So if we look at here, we're looking at the most common competencies. So what I can see, what's the average rating? How many people have this rating? I can simply scroll down and look at all of these things. I could drill down and get more information and see who the people are. Housekeeping note, I can see where my forms are, what's been completed, what's not. If you have multiple forms in play, you can filter. Everything in the system is filterable. And you can see your distribution. So I can see by department, location, whatever the case may be, where my performance ratings are going. Maybe I have managers who have too many people in the middle, too many people in a higher rating. Again, this is all built by your process and the parameters that you set. And same thing with overdue form. Same thing for objectives. It's going to give you real-time, actionable data to see what those statuses are. Anything that might be high risk, drill down into that, be able to export that information, and take action before it becomes a problem. Completion dates, distribution rates. Again, these are all built into the system right out of the tin. One of the benefits of cloud software is that it just works and it's just real time. But you can see things like maybe people who don't have goals. And that's important in an organization, particularly if they're new. Beyond that, we actually built in other reports on competencies, goals, employee information, but we also give you the ability to build your own reports. So that anything in the system that you need to report on, you can actually go in, build your own report, and be able to share that with other people, maybe in other departments. Maybe there's a particular department that needs a particular report. You can run it online, offline, export into PDF, Excel, or PowerPoint. So it gives you real insight into all of that input. As Stephen was saying earlier, the academics he talks to says, we know we have to do it, but we don't know what happens to the data. This gives you that mechanism to have that data, collect it all, and be able to make really actionable decisions, give that continuous feedback, even outside of the performance process. And by the way, it's all mobile. So with that, I will summarize. Just a couple of things. So I'm kind of taking all of Stephen and Kara's information and consolidating it, but just wanted to come back to the challenges that we were talking about and the challenges Stephen was talking about. Continuous communication with employees is a challenge. It's hard to do. Everybody's busy. Building key skills and giving that manager interaction. It's difficult to do, particularly in a paper-based system. It's hard to have that interaction going on and understanding those skills. And just being able to provide an easy-to-use system as an HR professional to your employees. And getting insight. It's just that simple. You're gathering all this data. Where does it go? SAP SuccessFactors, you can start anywhere with our solutions. You can go anywhere. Goal execution. It's about establishing the strategy, communicating the strategy, making sure that everybody's engaged and understands how they fit into that. Talent, performance management, giving that continuous feedback loop. It's not just about giving feedback at the end of the year. It's about being able to do that mid-year. It's about being able to give that coaching advice all the time. And then analytics. It's about being able to capture that data and understanding where your talent is, making sure you have the right people in the right place, and making it mobile, just making it easy to use so that people are engaged and they can use it anywhere and it makes sense to them. So again, communicating with employees. Hopefully we've shown through the solution, we can provide you with the tools and the mechanisms so that managers, HR, and everybody can give continuous coaching and create that alignment through the organization so that everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. That is what's going to build into high employee engagement. One of the key factors in employee engagement is that direct relationship with their manager. And if they're getting that communication all the time, then they're going to feel valued and they're going to feel engaged with the company. And giving them tools that they can do that anywhere. Everybody's on the move. Everybody's mobile. Giving them the tools to do so. And then on the back end, giving the executive team the data they need to make real business decisions on how they need to change goals or move in a certain direction or move in a certain direction and do some training. All of these things the system feeds into to help you make those decisions. And I will leave you with a quote from a customer. SuccessFactors is far more than just an HR system. We knew it would help us get to the next stage of our strategic business execution as a company. And that's really what it's all about. It's about executing on strategy and making sure that you keep and engage the right people to do so. So with that, I will hand it back over to Kara to summarize for us.
Great. Thanks so much, Jamie. So as she mentioned, I just want to summarize our insights into the current state of talent management, specifically within the higher education community for today's session. So there is an increase in the number of students and staff. The staff accounts for a staggering 55% of all costs. At the same time, government funding is decreasing while tuition income is increasing. So just as in our personal lives, our expectations of the technology that we use while at work is that it's instant and easy to use. Talent management is a priority and definitely seen as urgent, not only by HR and business leaders, but also by CEOs. They, along with employees, perceive that it isn't being done well. So performance management needs to be easy. It involves ongoing dialogue, conversations, and goal setting so that it becomes about coaching and advising versus informing and form filling. Finally, the output of the process needs to be measurable with actionable insights, not just compliant. With that, I see that we do have just a couple of questions which we'll address. Looks like the first one being, both SAP and SuccessFactors were mentioned today. Is one reliant on the other? Jamie?
Thank you, Kara. Very good question. So SAP acquired SuccessFactors about 2.5 years ago. And I myself come from the SuccessFactors side for about 7 years. They're not reliant on each other per se. They integrate together. SuccessFactors platform and how we develop our software has not changed a bit since the acquisition. We are 100% cloud, and we always will be. The benefit is that we have more people behind us to accelerate the development. And the integration, we do a lot of work with hybrid on-premise integrations with performance management solutions as well. And we've been doing that for years. So they're not dependent on each other, but they cohabitate with each other, so to speak. They just work well together. It really depends on the business need. If you want 100% cloud, we can do that. If you need a hybrid, we can do that. You know, it just depends on your business organization and what you need.
Perfect, thanks. Another question. We have a process that includes a mid-year review. Is that common? Stephen, did you want to take this?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay, so I think in the demo Jamie showed, you saw that goals are in a separate place. This means they can be reviewed, updated, and changed at any point. So whereas we see the performance review more as a checkpoint to look back on the performance and also to plan, look forward to the next objectives. So if you have a mid-year review, you could issue just a whole new performance review form, and that template or that form could be the same as the annual review one, or it could be entirely different. Maybe you only want to review objectives at that stage, or just have that kind of checkpoint. It's certainly all possible in the SAP Cloud SuccessFactors Performance and Goals Management solution you just saw that Jamie demonstrated. So I guess in short, yes, it certainly can support a mid-year performance review.
Great, thanks, Stephen. In the demo today, it was referenced that there was a library and coaching advice. Where does that come from? Jamie?
Oh, thanks, Kara. Another good question. Where that comes from is from a multitude of HR experience that went into developing our software. When we developed the product, it wasn't just developed by engineers, designers, software gurus, so to speak. It was built by people who come from an HR background. All of our consultants, as are the consultants at ROC, have that HR background. When we built our software platform and when we built our best practices, it was built on years and years and years of HR experience, of working with companies, of understanding their challenges, of knowing the common themes that they see. That said, all of these libraries that we've built in are completely configurable for our customers. They can make them their own. They can alter them, add their own stuff. But it was built on a platform of, I think, over 100 years of HR experience.
Great, thank you. So I see that we are coming up on the 45-minute mark, as mentioned earlier. So some good questions today, and if there's any additional questions, if you'd like to reach out to any of the presenters with additional, requests for information, all the contact information is shown on the screen here. As I did mention again at the beginning of today's session, the content will be made available to all participants after this webinar has closed. So with that, I'd like to thank both my fellow presenters today as well as the participants